Well, this week we're picking up again. As if you've been following along with the construction on the railroad, you know that we ran out of rail.
Yes, we did.
I had enough little pieces around to finish laying the switch to the engine shop at Logos Creek Components, and finished laying the main line over to here and couldn't even finish that. Now we're just completely out of rail.
Right.
And boy, there's quite a saga when it comes to...
Oh, saga. Emphasis on saga.
Yeah,
yes.
rail has fallen off a truck, and we'll follow up with that in the future shows.
Right.
But it's been, as you would say, a hair-pulling contest.
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
To try to get rail for the railroad. In the meantime, Steve finished up the sand house.
He did.
And he delivered that, and we'll show you that next week, the finished sand house. But he also brought this nifty truck.
Isn't that cool?
And we're going to do a Tuesday show on the kit that he used here, because we've got 4 or 5 or 6 of them up in the attic. But we'll go through a whole detail about that. And I've been working on the single stall engine house.
The beginnings.
The beginnings. And now we're working on this together. But in the meantime, you've been working on your projects.
Right. I have a fascination for these little itty-bitty models that come in a tin about the size of a Sucret's tin.
Yeah, you've built quite a few of these.
Yeah, I've lost track how many, in fact. How many? Some of them are duplicates.
I think you've given some away and everything.
Yes,
yeah.
I gave a couple of them away.
But this is a really neat one. To get a sense of the size of these, sort of think, for our railroad friends, sort of think HO scale, but a little bit bigger than that. But it's hard to say because these are rabbit houses.
They're either a rabbit or a kitty cat, but they go by Harry and Bella, and it follows their adventures and their travels.
Yeah, so what exactly is the scale? I mean, how big is a rabbit?
Yeah, no kidding.
But if we thought of these 2 rabbits here as human-sized, then this would be about HO scale.
Okay.
And otherwise, it would be more like, I don't know, a half-inch scale, because they're little itty-bitty bunny rabbits.
Right.
But what it means is it's tiny modeling.
They're really small.
Really, really small, teeny tiny details. Now, these are kits.
Right.
But I know you never build a kit.
No, I start out with the instructions just to get the idea, but then I start adding my own way of doing it.
Some of these components are laser cut, but then a lot of it's just stuff that you've scratch built. Right.
I just kind of do my own thing. If I don't like what they offer, then I kind of invent my own thing.
And that's the funnest way.
It is.
Yeah. And then all of these things have lighting.
Right.
Which really brings things to life. It's just so much funner when you're doing modeling to add lighting to the modeling.
Right.
But they're really whimsical.
They are. I think they're just really cute. They're just, Harry and Bella and their little adventures.
Here on their swing together.
Yes.
But that one turned out really, really neat, and has a little stand here, and the batteries are inside it with a switch. And then you moved on to a coffee shop.
Yes, this was my Christmas present from you, and I've kind of been, holding off putting it together, but I thought, well, now's the time.
A much larger scale.
Right. I'm not sure the scale on this one.
This is almost our railroad scale. I would make it
close.
to be about 1/32 scale.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but it's so neat that you can do so much more in a larger scale.
Yes, even though these are fairly small, but I can add quite a bit to it.
Yeah, the scratch building and the improvising becomes a lot simpler when you're working in a larger size.
Right, and again, I started following the instructions, and some of it I just wasn't happy with the look, so I started changing things up.
Yeah, I know that, like, for example, right here, you put together the kit piano and then decided it was horrible. And
right.
the kit radio,
yes,
which you decided was horrible.
Right.
And the keyboard here.
Well, the keyboard wasn't quite right, and then I kind of goofed with some glue. I was aiming for one thing, and a glob of glue dropped down on the keyboard, which didn't look very good.
And this radio.
Well, it was following the instructions, and I thought maybe it needed an antenna, and that didn't quite cut it for me either.
Well, I was really glad when you pulled those things out and started over.
And started differently, yes.
Because it looked so much better. Now, over here is going to be the back bar.
Right.
Or the bar back, I guess is
yes.
the technical term.
Where the coffee is made.
And that's where you can really go nuts building
yes.
details.
Right.
Because there's all these shelves.
exactly.
Now there's the radio.
Right. Now, I went on the internet and printed off a picture of a radio that I liked that I thought would be a little bit more retro for this particular coffee shop. So I built that, and then the front of it's the picture I printed off the computer. The back part I carved out of wood. And again, I gave it an antenna and some knobs.
Knobs turned out nice. And the guitar.
Well, we had a piano, and you can see where I dropped the glue on the keyboard, which didn't make me happy. But I had to have a guitar along with the keyboard. And the coffee maker, I decided it looked better red than what they decided.
And the coffee grinder.
That was fun. Now, that was according to plan.
Oh, okay. Because I know back here, again, the back bar is just full of all kinds of fun details.
Right, coffee pots of all kinds and sacks full of coffee beans. And there's a menu back there, as you can see, with the prices. And
now, it looked like a lot of that stuff is made out of just decorative beads from a craft store.
that's about all it is. They include all these little beads and give you instructions how to put them together to create a thing, like the coffee grinder.
The coffee grinder.
Yeah,
But it
that's
turns out really neat.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
And the plants, you had to cut every single leaf out from paper.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, stick it to a wire and bend it around to make it look. That was time consuming.
But that inspires me. I mean, I know it's just printed paper, but that makes for a great plant.
It does. It really looks a lot better than plastic.
I'm thinking that could be something to integrate onto the railroad because I'm really excited about that. That turned out really neat.
And I added cups of coffee, of course, at the table and at the counter with steam coming out with just a little wisp of cotton that I glued on there for steam.
Yeah, at this point you started adding your own little details,
Right.
like the coffee pot and the sandwich and the dessert.
Exactly, and the sack with the treasures in it. Somebody's been shopping, and there in the background you can see my new and improved keyboard. Again, I went to the computer and just printed off a keyboard and then had to scale it down to the right size.
Turned out great.
It's
Much
a lot
better
better.
than the original.
Yes, I just
Yeah.
wrapped the paper around a small little stick and put it back in the slot, and it looks more like keyboard.
Looks much more like it, much more presentable. And then the little menus and stuff here.
Right, that all was part of the kit, and I put them where I felt they looked best, and just had a lot of fun with it. So the little cupcakes were from yet another kit that I had some leftovers and added those just because I thought they looked better.
Always nice to have a bag of parts that you
Yes.
can go to and just start grabbing things. I know you love bookshelves.
Yes, and these come with plenty of books. They'll have to be made. They have little squares of wood that you wrap the book cover around for a book. Same thing at the counter. I decided to have some books. Somebody's there having a sandwich and studying for their college class, but I thought they needed a sandwich, so I created my own sandwich just using layers of paper.
And there it is. Now, with the lights on, it photographs really well.
It does.
And here again, it's just so much funner modeling something if you can integrate lights in it.
Right, and then even the curtain, I added that because just having a bare window, I thought the curtain, it was needed just for something for decorative purposes.
Well, there it is, all finished.
Yes.
Ready to be moved over to the Curio to join your other dioramas.
Oh, there's so many.
And now you can join me working on the locomotive shop because that's actually turned out to
man.
be a much larger project than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
I'm using a technique, building it out of balsa wood, burning a stone pattern into it, and we'll go into that in an upcoming show because this is actually coming right together. We're making some good headway
It's starting
on
to
it.
come together, yes.
And I know it looks pretty Mickey Mouse at this point, but as you move forward with this process, it's a really interesting project. It suddenly starts looking like a stone engine
It's looking
house.
a thing, yes.
And it actually has a roof and all kinds of things. So we'll follow up with that in a future show. And we're going to go visit Adam
Yes,
because he's got some rail.
he does.
And he said we could have some.
Right.
And so we're willing to drive down to his house. Anyway, we've been dying to check out his HON3 layout. So that's where we're going to be, is down there talking to Adam about that.
Right.
Well, there it is.
All finished.
All finished. And the story continues. We'll again follow up with Adam. As it turned out, we didn't get any rail from Adam, so we're still looking for rail. If you haven't been over to the channel, do pop over to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, you can do that with the blue button or ring right there.
There it is.
Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again in a few days, on Tuesday.
Yes.
With some collectibles. We'll see you then.